Hi, Charles SirBookSage here, and this is another episode of my Harry Potter First Time Reread series. This week's episode is a little different than my typical Harry Potter reread episode. I am not covering a specific set of chapters this week. I'll be back to doing that next week. This week I wanted to stop here where we left off in the Goblet of Fire and talk about something that's been bothering me about the Wizarding World. And as you can tell by the title, this is about the ethical dilemma of the Obliviate Spell. And last episode we left off, it was the few chapters leading up to and including the Quidditch World Cup. And the night before the match, or the day before, they were all, took a port key, arrived as this big open field, and all these crazy wizard tents are all set up. But the field's owned by a muggle. And I think there's what's presented as a comical little moment where a ministry wizard pops up and does the Obliviate. And apparently they have to do this to this muggle about 5 times a day, 5 times a day. And this is one of the things I really enjoy about this slow reread here. It gives me the opportunity to really stop and think about some of the things here in this Wizarding World and this story. And the Obliviate spell is a deeply, deeply unethical spell. I have huge ethical problems with it. Really huge. The primary concern of the Wizarding World is to maintain their secrecy, to stay hidden from the Muggle world. And besides the unsavory reasons Salazar Slytherin wanted just pure blood wizards, there was a practical reason for that, and that was you will never be able to stay hidden if we let anyone from the outside in, including wizards that are not from wizarding families. You will never be able to maintain that secrecy. And in a way, he was right. If you think about it, the memory charm has been around in this Wizarding World for close to 400 years. And think of how many muggles the Wizarding World has had to take the memories away, has had to wield that Obliviate spell. How many thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands at this point, maybe millions by now after over 400 years, to maintain their secrecy as a society. And when it becomes such a common thing where they do it without even thinking, it really speaks to a big, big problem with this Wizarding World. I don't believe that they look at muggles really as human. Or at least if they look at them as human, they look at themselves as a superior species, a superior version. They don't look at them as the same. And once you start looking at yourself as superior, that brings you down a really bad path, a road where you start doing really reprehensible things because they're not really people anyway, so what does it matter? You see this kind of thing as part of the underpinnings of slavery and everything. You build that narrative that they're not really human, so it's not wrong to do it. And there's a bit of an element of that here, really highlighted by the Obliviate spell. And I really have a big, big problem with it. I've been kind of sitting and thinking about it for a while. As I've been so busy with work, I haven't been able to keep up with my regular schedule. It's allowed this to kind of sit and percolate. And if Harry Potter was an epic fantasy series, that ethical dilemma would have to be solved by the end of the story. It would become a central thing the protagonist would have to tackle and have to find a resolution for. But this is, I guess, kind of a middle grade story, so that is not even addressed. It's pretty much ignored. And I have a hard time with particularly Hermione, who takes up the plight of the house elf. I cannot see that her character wouldn't notice this really deep ethical problem with the Obliviate spell. She uses it herself in this series. I think she wipes a memory out of Harry and Ron's mind as they're hiding in the Deathly Hallows to keep stuff hidden from the people who are looking for them. And this was something that they chose voluntarily to do. And she uses, even though the movie shows her using Obliviate on her parents to make them forget her while this final battle is going on with Voldemort, she actually uses an altering spell, not an Obliviate spell. It's apparently a different kind of memory charm that just alters memories. It doesn't take them away. But even that, you're really treading on really uneasy ground there. Because when you take someone's memory away from them against their will, without them even knowing you've done it, I mean, you're really kind of stripping away someone's humanity. And it kind of bugs me that it's not addressed. And I get it, it's a middle grade story. It's a much younger audience. It's not something either Rowling, I can't imagine she didn't think about it, but it's something that she clearly did not want to address in this story. And if you look at Fantastic Beasts, I mean, the whole Obliviate kind of rain thing, I mean, that's just mass scale. And the one, Jacob or whatever his name is, he's about the only one who knew what was going to be done to him. And at least he was given the opportunity to make that choice. Though, did he really have a choice? I mean, if you look at Hermione's parents, they're muggles. They're good people. They're honorable people. What does the Ministry do when there's a wizard born to muggle parents where those muggle parents are not honorable people? Where they're grifters or criminals, and they're going to use the wizarding world and knowledge of it to their advantage? Does the Ministry just step in and wipe the parent's mind of each event as it happens? Do they wipe the memory of them even having a child at all from the muggles, who are just not good people? And do they kill them? I mean, so these things, I don't believe these are addressed anywhere. And I was looking at Pottermore, and it lists the various uses of the Obliviate charm, and I didn't really see anything listed that faces these dilemmas. So this is just kind of a preliminary video here to get my thoughts down into a video, to bring it to you guys, the BookTube community, to the Harry Potter fans. Now I want to hear from you what you think about this, what you think about the Obliviate spell, and what you think about my position that it really is a deeply, deeply unethical spell, and the problems that it really creates that aren't addressed in this story. And so hit me up in the comments. I want to know your thoughts on this. Is this something that you've thought about at all? Is it something that's registered with you at all? Or I didn't really think about it the first time I read these stories because I read them so fast. It was presented here as, like, again, with the muggle who owns the field. It's kind of a little comical moment. But the second time around, especially with Chamber of Secrets, where Gilderoy Lockhart, who is a fascinating, fun character in the book, but Lockhart is a monster. I mean, he really is a monster. He is, in many ways, just as bad as Voldemort. He just doesn't kill people, but what he does is almost even worse in a way, because he's stripping who they are away from themselves, and they don't even know it. So those are my initial thoughts. Hit me up in the comments. I want to hear what you think about this. And I look forward to reading them and getting a dialogue, discussion going. So until next Monday, where I'm back to my normal Harry Potter schedule, where it's the Quidditch World Cup has just ended, so next Monday we'll pick up from there and we'll go forward. And I'm Charles, this is SirBookSage. Happy reading.